the Baltimore Ravens find themselves in a moment of reckoning. A 1-win, 5-loss start is not what anyone expected coming into this season. Not the fans, not the coaching staff, and certainly not the players. And as the team enters its bye week, it's not just about rest and recovery. It's about soul-searching. It's about figuring out what's wrong, what can be fixed, and what might need to be torn down and rebuilt. Across the organization, from the front office to the field, the pressure is building. Questions are mounting. And the answers? Well, they're not coming easy. Let's start with what's swirling around the roster. There's been growing frustration about how certain players have, or haven't, been used. One of the most talked about names in the Ravens fan base right now is Keaton Mitchell. After flashing serious potential in training camp and preseason, Mitchell has essentially vanished from the offensive game plan. Even when he's active on game day, he's barely involved, and that's got a lot of people scratching their heads. His speed, his burst, his ability to be a change-of-pace weapon, none of that is being utilized. And now, with rumors swirling about potential trades across the league, some insiders are suggesting Mitchell might actually be on the block. Now let's be honest. If Baltimore were to trade him right now, they'd be selling low. Very low. His value hasn't had a chance to grow. He hasn't had the opportunity to put anything on tape. So unless a team sees the same explosive upside that Ravens fans saw back in August, it would be a trade with little return. A move that feels more like giving up than retooling. And with this offense struggling to find any sort of consistent rhythm, especially without Lamar Jackson on the field, it just doesn't make sense to move on from a player who could be part of the solution, especially when you're searching for any kind of spark. Speaking of offensive issues, the conversation inevitably shifts to the offensive line, and things don't look great there either. Injuries have certainly played a role. Ronnie Stanley's been in and out of the lineup, and when he's been on the field, the performances haven't inspired much confidence. His last 2 starts were especially rough, grading out near the bottom across the board. And the guy who replaced him, Joe Noteboom, hasn't exactly been a major upgrade. Across the board, the tackle play has been shaky at best. On the inside, there's been some development, but still a lot of inconsistency. Left guard Malisala Almavalaulu started the season poorly, but he's rebounded in recent weeks, putting together a string of solid performances. Meanwhile, Daniel Falale has been the most consistent piece on the line, and even though his run blocking leaves a lot to be desired, his pass protection has been strong. And in today's NFL, protecting the quarterback is priority number 1. Still, when the offensive line as a unit can't get a push on the goal line, when they're being stuffed on 4th and inches, it's a problem that goes beyond just technique. It speaks to cohesion, or a lack thereof. But the most surprising fall-off might be coming from center Tyler Linderbaum. Once touted as a future All-Pro, he's now posting some of the worst pass-blocking grades of his career. And when your center is struggling in protection, it has a ripple effect. The timing is off. The interior pressure collapses pockets faster. And that's been hurting whoever lines up under center, whether it's Lamar or anyone else. The coaching staff has to take a hard look at how they're developing this unit. Because you can have Derrick Henry in the backfield or Lamar Jackson making magic, but if you're losing in the trenches, none of it matters. Now let's talk about that coaching staff. The heat is building, not just on John Harbaugh, but on his coordinators too. Todd Monken's offense has been clunky, especially in the red zone. The Rams game showed that clearly. With the ball inside the 1-yard line and multiple downs to punch it in, Baltimore couldn't get the job done. The play calling? Predictable. The formation? Overcrowded. The execution? Flat. And while Monken is shouldering the blame publicly, it's hard to ignore the fact that the scheme isn't doing the players many favors. There are no illusions, no misdirection, no creativity in short yardage situations. When the opposing defense knows exactly what's coming, like the Rams clearly did, it's a failure of design, not just execution. And yet, if the offense has problems, the defense hasn't been immune either. Enter Zach Orr. The rookie defensive coordinator has been under fire for weeks, and coming into the Rams matchup, it was widely believed that another ugly showing might have cost him his job. But to his credit, the unit showed improvement. For the first time all season, there were visible adjustments, tactical changes that actually made a difference. Kyle Hamilton was moved back into the slot full-time, and it paid off. The Ravens didn't use a single snap of traditional nickel. That's almost unheard of in today's NFL. But it worked. Hamilton's range, instincts, and ability to wreck plays from that position changed the complexion of the defense. Another huge shift? Marlon Humphrey didn't follow the top receiver. Instead, the Ravens had rookie Nate Wiggins trail Davante Adams all game long. That's a big ask, and even though Adams had an off day with drops and missed throws, Wiggins held his own. When you have a young corner with elite speed and instincts, it makes sense to challenge him. Let him grow against top talent. And that's exactly what Wiggins did. And finally, without Justin Matabike, the Ravens leaned into a heavy front. Two big bodies, Michael Pierce and Travis Jones, anchoring the interior. That kind of size hasn't been used regularly by the Ravens in years. But it helped control the line of scrimmage and freed up guys like John Jenkins and Brent Urban to make plays. Urban, in particular, might be the next chess piece on the move. With the outside linebacker group banged up and thin, there's a chance Urban shifts outside to hold the edge in early down situations. He won't be asked to drop in coverage. He won't be sprinting after quarterbacks. He'll just do what he does best: control space, set the edge, and plug lanes. Still, even with those changes, the Ravens are a long way from being a dominant defense. They're near the bottom of the league in third down conversion rate, red zone defense, and fourth down stops. And that's not going to cut it, especially when your offense can't score consistently. Zach might have earned himself more time with that Rams performance, but the margin for error is razor thin. One step back, and the questions will start all over again. And so, with the bye week in full swing, this is where the Ravens stand. Beat up, backed into a corner, searching for answers. There are holes in the roster. There are cracks in the foundation. But there's also a chance to regroup, to get healthy, to make adjustments. The question now is simple. Will they take that chance, or will the season continue to spiral out of control? If there's one thing we've learned about the Ravens under John Harbaugh, it's that this is not an organization that makes panic moves. Whether it's firing a coordinator midseason or benching a high-profile player, Baltimore prefers to let things run their course, make internal adjustments, and save the big decisions for the offseason. And that's likely the only reason Harbaugh is still firmly in place despite the disastrous start. But even the most loyal fans are starting to ask tough questions. Has the voice in the locker room grown stale? Has the message lost its impact? Is Harbaugh still the right guy to lead this team in 2025 and beyond? The truth is, Harbaugh's tenure has always been a balancing act. He's not known for being a mastermind on either side of the ball, but his strength lies in managing personalities, holding a locker room together, and keeping the team focused through adversity. That's why he's survived this long. But when the losses pile up and the mistakes become patterns instead of isolated incidents, leadership starts to feel like damage control. The trust starts to fade. And that's the dangerous territory Baltimore is drifting into. That's not to say Harbaugh is the only one under the microscope. The scrutiny has extended directly to the coordinators. While we've already touched on the offensive struggles with Todd Monken, what's important to understand is that the failures haven't just been about execution. They've been about identity. This Ravens offense doesn't seem to know who it is. One week, they try to pound the rock with Henry. The next, they're spreading it out with Lamar in the shotgun. Then, out of nowhere, they'll go ultra-conservative in the red zone, as if they're coaching scared. There's no rhythm, no consistency, and that shows up on tape, especially when the game gets tight. Monken has taken responsibility for the missteps, but accountability only goes so far without results. The goal line sequence against the Rams was a perfect example of play calling without creativity. You're facing a defense that had just played the Eagles and studied every nuance of the tush-push. And instead of using that knowledge against them, maybe with a play-action fake or a misdirection, they ran it straight up the gut. Predictable, simple, and ultimately unsuccessful. You could sense it even from the press box. The Rams were daring the Ravens to try it. They had every gap stuffed. The linebackers were crashing. The defensive line was submarine diving. And Monken still went with it. That's not just a missed opportunity. That's a failure to adapt. And in a league that demands constant adjustment, that can be the difference between winning and losing. But if Monken's on thin ice, Zach is skating on even thinner. The rookie defensive coordinator came into the season with high hopes, but quickly found himself overwhelmed. Through the first 5 games, the Ravens allowed at least 37 points in 4 of them. That's not just bad luck. That's a sign that something is fundamentally broken. Miscommunications in the secondary, busted coverages, a lack of pressure, these weren't just one-off issues. They were becoming weekly themes. And yet, in Week 6 against the Rams, there were real signs of growth. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch, but there were schematic changes that made a difference. Moving Kyle Hamilton back into the slot full-time was a masterstroke. His ability to control the flat, crash down on screens, and erase tight ends is unmatched. And when you pair that with Wiggins shadowing the top receiver, suddenly the entire shape of the defense changes. Wiggins, in particular, showed flashes of what he could become. Yes, Adams had his drops. Yes, Stafford missed a few throws. But Wiggins was in position, using his length and speed to disrupt routes and take away the first read. That's what Baltimore drafted him for, to become a shutdown corner. And if this coaching staff can develop him properly, he could be the anchor of the secondary for years to come. Then there's the interior of the defensive line. Without Justin Matabike, the Ravens went old school, pairing Michael Pierce and Travis Jones on the same line. Two traditional nose tackles lining up in 1 and 3 tech spots. It's not something you see often anymore in the modern NFL. But it worked. The run defense was stout. The line of scrimmage was controlled. And even though the pass rush wasn't overwhelming, the pressure was more consistent. John Jenkins made a critical play with a strip sack. Brent Urban brought veteran presence and strength at the edge. And while the loss of Tavius Robinson creates a depth problem at outside linebacker, Urban might be part of the solution. He's not going to be a pass rush threat, but if they can use him situationally, especially on early downs, he could help solidify the edge without compromising gap integrity. Of course, all of these changes come with caveats. You can't ask Urban to play outside backer all season. You can't expect Wiggins to travel with elite receivers every week and always win. And you certainly can't assume Kyle Hamilton can fix everything by himself. But the point is, at least now there's a blueprint, a vision, something to build on. That's been missing all year. Until now, it felt like the Ravens were trying to duct tape their way through the season. But against the Rams, there were adjustments that had purpose and execution that reflected those changes. For Zach Orr, that game might have been the lifeline he needed. One more bad performance, and his seat might have caught fire. But now, he's bought himself time. And if he continues to evolve the scheme and make smart personnel calls, he might just grow into the role the way Mike McDonald did before him. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL world is buzzing with whispers that could shake the very foundations of the league. Sources close to the matter suggest that TREY, one of the most electrifying playmakers in recent memory, is rumored to have made a stunning decision that has fans and analysts alike holding their breath. According to insiders, the star athlete has allegedly agreed to terms with the Baltimore Ravens, officially trading in his usual colors for the iconic purple. The news, though still unconfirmed by the team, has sent shockwaves through social media, with speculation running rampant about what this could mean for the remainder of the season. If true, this move would not merely be a headline. It would redefine the trajectory of the Ravens campaign. TREY's arrival in Baltimore could inject an unprecedented level of skill and swagger into a roster that has long been hungry for a dynamic shift. Observers are already drawing comparisons to previous league-altering trades, pondering whether this addition could propel the Ravens into true Super Bowl contention. The timing, too, appears almost cinematic. With the season in full swing, the introduction of a player of TREY's caliber could tilt the balance in a division that has been fiercely competitive from day one. Fans are naturally divided. Loyalists of TREY's former team express disbelief, while Ravens supporters are already daydreaming about the highlight reels and game-changing plays that could soon define their Sundays. Analysts, meanwhile, are poring over game tape, debating fit, chemistry, and scheme adjustments. Could TREY seamlessly integrate into Baltimore's system, or will the pressure of a purple jersey weigh heavily on him? Speculation is at fever pitch, and every pass, every touchdown, every sideline reaction will now be scrutinized under a new, intensely magnified lens. Even if the deal is still technically under wraps, the mere rumor has caused the league to quake. Pundits are already rethinking playoff scenarios, betting lines are subtly shifting, and the chatter in locker rooms across the country suggests that players themselves are taking notice. One thing is certain, The idea of TREY in purple has captured the imagination of the football world. Whether it's a finalized agreement or a carefully planted leak, the buzz is real, the stakes are high, and the NFL season just got a lot more thrilling. Baltimore might be about to witness a chapter in their history that fans will talk about for years, and all it took was one rumor to set the league on fire. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.